Former Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick, our favorite, is back. Why? I don't know why. I wish he'd go away. And he's dropping bombs, suggesting that Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is selling 60% lower than last year's Black Ops 6. Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only game news show brave enough to read a legal filing from Bobby Kotick.
Yeah, I can't tell you the number of times I rolled my eyes at my desk. Although, to be fair, Stephen Totillo did most of the reading here, and boy, are we grateful for that, because anytime we can be saved not reading legal briefs from Bobby Kotick, the better.
Yeah, thank you very much, Totillo. He posted a summary of the eyebrow-raising claims in Bobby Kotick's response to an ongoing lawsuit from Swedish pension fund Sjund AP Fonden, I probably blew that, or AP7 for our idiot American mouths who don't know how to pronounce Swedish.
Yeah, let's go with that for now. And they're referred to that in the lawsuit, so it's all above board. Kotick goes on quite a tear in his reply to this lawsuit, insisting that those suing him should instead be thanking him, accusing Embracer Group of all people of a malicious conspiracy in motivating this lawsuit in the first place, and accusing the Communication Workers of America of fabricating a whole lawsuit to justify collecting their union dues.
Oh.
all the money in the world.
I feel so bad for him. All right, here's a quick summary of where we're at. Just whatever. All right, I'll save it till the end. Here's a quick summary of where we're at. AP7 filed a lawsuit in Delaware court in 2022, alleging Kotick of rushing Activision Blizzard's acquisition to avoid the fallout of the company's mounting accusations of systemic sexual discrimination and harassment.
Yes, that's the stated intent, and I think they hitched it to a popular cause, of course. But these sorts of lawsuits, in particular those from AP7, they're filed on behalf of investors because the acquisition price theoretically would have or should have been higher. So essentially, they're saying that Kotick rushed this out at a time when Activision's corporate valuation was declining, and that the acquisition should have been for more, and they're trying to recoup that value.
Okay. The lawsuit has rattled along in the years since 2022. This development comes from newly revealed court documents that were filed in December and made publicly viewable yesterday.
Yeah, so essentially Kotick is now saying, you're wrong because I sold the company at its highest possible value, and all that other stuff had no effect on the company's value, so this lawsuit doesn't mean anything. That's where we're starting, and it's only going to go downhill from here. So the first volley, and perhaps the most logical, is that Kotick claims that last year's Call of Duty, 2025's Call of Duty, Black Ops 7 is down 60% in sales compared to the year before.
As a result, Kotick says, quote, plaintiff should be expressing extreme gratitude for the foresight Activision leadership demonstrated in consummating this transaction.
Man, it's so smug. I love it. Essentially, Kotick sold the company at its peak for maximum value, so there's really no basis to the claim that the acquisition could have gone any better from a monetary standpoint. Call of Duty tanked after I sold the company, so I did the right thing.
Correct. There's a catch. Kotick wasn't the CEO of Activision in 2025. He hasn't been since 2023. Did he forget?
Yeah, that's the thing. He provides no source for this information, so he's just kind of saying it. Although, if we're being honest, Kotick was the CEO of that company for 20 years, probably had really tight relationships with most of the executive staff. I'm sure in email he could have gotten sales figures. Somebody would have sent them to him. But yeah, he's just kind of, pulling this figure out of the ether.
Yeah, that's right. All right, well, case closed, right? Kotick could just drive away on his solid gold yacht. Everything's great.
Yeah, he's made his case, right? He sold the company at its peak value. Oh, no. He's apparently got a chip on his shoulder.
So Kotick kicks off his conspiracy corner by accusing the Embracer Group of leveraging this lawsuit to, quote, increase its foothold in the California market at the expense of Activision, making it more difficult for Activision to recruit talent and expand through mergers and acquisition activity of the sort that Activision relied on to grow historically.
I don't even know where Embracer came from all of a sudden, geez. Totilla reached out to Embracer for comment, who replied that they were, quote, humbled by the implication that they were considered direct competition with Activision in this way.
They're just catching strays. Embracer's like, huh? What?
Yeah, they're just halfway through a sandwich. Like, they're just happy no one's yelling at them for a change.
Embracer goes on to say that it is, quote, perhaps difficult to accept for Mr. Kotick, but we did not and do not need any help from a Swedish pension fund in competing with Activision.
Well, it sounds silly when you say it that way. Sheesh. Yeah, I guess they're. Kotick was comparing Dead Island 2 to the games that Activision makes. I don't know. It's bizarre, but it's gonna get weirder here. It's gonna shift from deranged to pretty much evil, just downright evil.
Which I could see from Bobby Kotick. All right, so he's a billionaire. He could just go be rich, fuck off, and we'll never see him again. But he instead feels the need to, quote, shine a light on the gross misconduct of the activists who invented the false narrative of misconduct at Activision, and to expose the relationship between those activists and AP7.
Man, what a fight for the public justice here. Jeez. So according to Kotick, first of all, not only did he do exactly the right thing from a business perspective, but a lawsuit from a Swedish pension fund was motivated by a collusion between the gaming conglomerate behind Dead Island 2 and an organized cabal of activists in the state of California, all to bring down Kotick's empire and drag his name through the mud. I mean, that last part sounds pretty good, but it's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine just these random disparate groups all working together all at the same time to specifically dog him.
Sort of like that Democrat hoax for the Epstein files. Kind of weird. Kind of feel it's sort of the same thing there. Anyways, Kotick goes on to minimize the business impact of any of the multiple lawsuits Activision Blizzard faced at the end of his tenure at the company.
Yeah, he insists that the company's drop in stock price over 2021, that's the same year, by the way, that a California regulator filed suit against the company, and also a Wall Street Journal article claimed that Kotick knew for years about sexual misconduct problems at the company. That'll happen that year. But no, instead, the company's decline in stock price was due to underperformance of Call of Duty Vanguard and Overwatch 2. Which, I don't know, given how investors react to things, you might have a point, as sad as that is.
I was just going to say, the answer is both. Both didn't help is probably what happened. All right, you might want to sit down for this one. Kotick does not like labor unions. You never would have guessed.
Wow, a CEO worth billions. Who would have thought? In fact, he goes a step further. He actually blames the Communication Workers of America for manufacturing all the claims of sexual harassment at Activision in an attempt to justify the dues that they charge employees.
Here's the full quote. The union, offering no value to companies that paid generous wages and offered extraordinary benefits, needed a reason for employees to consider unionization. Union leaders landed on a clever but unlawful scheme to create the false perception that there were systemic workplace issues at these companies, so that it could offer itself as the solution to resolve these fabricated workplace problems.
That makes my stomach turn a little bit, but it is, man. I guess this is legal stuff. This is rhetoric. This is lawyers. It doesn't matter what is, it just matters what you can sell. There's no reason to not sell the most extreme version of a thing. So never mind all these regulatory agencies that found problems and prosecuted. No, this was made up by unions to scare employees into joining the union so that they could then go to this lengthy process of making a fake lawsuit just to convince everybody that they're on the right. Oh man, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating to hear.
Here's what I want, Lawrence. I want Bobby Kotick. I don't want this lawsuit. I don't want him to settle, because if this is actually true, if all of this is true, if he is the Mel Gibson in the movie Conspiracy Theory and he knows it all, I want him to take this to court, and I want them to do discovery, and I want them to find all the things that he talks about here. And I want him to prove in a court of law. I don't want no settlement bullshit. I don't want no money from anybody. I want him to take it all the way to court. Kotick's got the cash to bring those lawyers and to do the discovery and to find out that all this is true. And I want him to prove in a court of law that everything he said is true. That's what I want. Otherwise, he can fuck off.
I agree with that. Yeah, maybe it's my cynicism, but my read on all this is I doubt Kotick believes any of this shit, right? I think his legal team came up with a strategy. The strategy is, number one, your premise is flawed. And I think there's a decent case for that given how the acquisition went. So the firm is saying you undersold. Kotick's saying, no, I didn't. He's kind of right. Activision sold at a crazy price for a crazy value and also has gone down since then. So on a purely business mathematical level, I think the tail of the tape kind of wraps it up. The step further, the step that's like emotionally charged, where he's accusing regulators and people of protecting those of underprivileged classes of making it all up to make money. That's so fucking shitty that it feels to me, I said this before, but it feels like Trump rhetoric. You say the most incendiary thing so that even if your logic doesn't work, people are so distracted by all the crazy narratives that you're just throwing out that you don't need to substantiate. That the entertainment, the sideshow ends up distracting and it works to your benefit. So it feels like that's their legal strategy, is we're going to put out the nuts and bolts of the case, but also we're going to supercharge it with a bunch of bullshit that we don't even have to really explain because that's not the point. So, but it's still galling. It's still galling to hear. It's still galling to have these words ascribed to Bobby Kotick, even if we give him credit and assume that he doesn't believe any of this stuff or didn't even say it. It's just his lawyers saying, this is what you're going to say. And he's like, yeah, whatever. I'm paying you $3,000 an hour. Whatever you make up's fine. I don't give a shit. From the back of his gold yacht on his satellite phone or whatever. So that's my read on it, as cynical as it may be, but damn, it's shitty. Just take your money and fuck off. I mean, there's no reason to say any of the rest of that stuff, but he doesn't care. Like none of my rage will touch him in any way. And I think he knows that too, with all these comments, even if they do go public and he's been through this ringer before, he doesn't give a crap. He's insulated from it. So he's playing by legal rules with CEOs that have hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, and this is what it looks like. And
I'm going to address the comments directly because I don't think there's going to be many comments in this episode supporting Bobby Kotick. But if there are, if you've decided to jump to the defense of Bobby Kotick, I really think you should probably just wait a second. This is something I've seen often in a lot of different spaces now, especially now, where people are always like, they immediately trust the billionaire, which is so weird to me, because I don't necessarily think that billionaires, and then Elon Musk is on the way to being a trillionaire, like they could be the most trustworthy person in the world. They probably stepped on a few toes along the way. So just keep that in mind. And if you're bootlicking for Bobby Kotick, he's not going to see it. He's not going to give you more money or whatever. So I would say reserve your trust for the people that actually put their names on the line with those unions and those sexual harassment lawsuits, and put those out there into lawsuits versus Bobby fucking Kotick. And again, I have my best possible argument for this is the same thing. Go to fucking court. If you really believe it, if you're the Batman, if you believe in justice, Bobby Kotick, take him to court and prove it all that it's all wrong. That's all I got.
I agree. Yeah, my contrarian nature can only offer this. I'll be the Bobby Kotick guy for a second. Unfortunately, with maybe the exception of Satoru Iwata and his tenure at Nintendo before we unfortunately lost him to medical causes, there's really not a business success story like Kotick's run at Activision. The acquisitions he did, he ran that company for 20 years, took it from a relatively small company into one of the biggest acquisitions ever. And in terms of business, and if that's all you care about in this world, then yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, Bruce, I think what you said is pretty important. You don't get in there without throwing some elbows and trampling over some people. It just doesn't happen. I don't know, that's as I've gained and I've worked and I've seen capitalism play out. You can make a decent living and still have some ethics, but above a certain layer, you have to throw out a lot of that, fair play humanity bullshit, because it doesn't matter. And then that's when you start grinding up other people. Those other people are probably not good people either. So in some ways, you keep all the feral assholes up there fighting over billions, and I'll just enjoy my sandwich, I guess. But yeah, no, there's no need for that. That's not what life ought to be about.
It's true. So I don't want to go on any more rants because it makes me so angry to think about. But either way, just because I've been on the other side of this many times when it comes to working at small companies and watching people that are, 100 times, 1,000 times richer than other people getting away with that shit. And Bobby Kotick's going to continue to get away with it. So thank you very much for watching Inside Games, making sure we don't have to work for anybody like Bobby Kotick.
Yeah, I've had the merest glimpse of that in the past, and I'm glad that we're not on that track anymore. So thank you very much. Thank you. We'd like to extend an extra grateful thank you to the folks that support us directly via Patreon. So thank you very much, Pablo Garcia, Baron5X, Just a Chair, Versalite, and George, the beer villain, for each being our own little CEOs. We'd much rather answer to you because we're pretty sure you're not going to put out a screed like this, declaring everybody that's against you being some kind of conspiracy.